Today is our last evening, and I'm just wondering if your colleagues, your team have been watching the recordings or how it will be. Uh,
I think they will watch when they needed to record a podcast. I have the feeling.
yes, hopefully, or before. Yes,
Sorry.
okay.
Merry
So
Christmas.
yeah, so we were talking about voice last time. So that was the main, besides the technical part, then we have the voice because that's everything that we will be showing and the people will be listening. We did some warming up last time. We did from the tongue and then all our head, which is very important. So today what I would like to do is to show you some the importance, because sometimes people think that it's not important to warm up. And they said, no, because I'm experienced, or because I'm not experienced, or doesn't matter, whatever our thoughts are, we should be able to warm up for any presentation, and especially when we are on point to do a podcast. So before connecting with your guest, or even with your guest, if you know very well, then you can invite her or him to do a little bit of warming up. And I like to tell the story, or it's an analogy about sport. When someone, let's put as an example, to dance. So then when you go and start dancing and then you are late, or you said, no, I'm okay, or whatever, I already ran from the station to here, so I do not need to warm up, it's okay. What will happen? Normally, first of all, you will lose focus. So you will have less concentration. Your performance will be rather down. Even if you have a good level, if you don't warm up as a dancer, then it will be, performance will be down. So focus, and then the how you will be performing, then the flexibility in all the terms, as broad as it can be, how flexible, not only your body, but in terms of if something happened, then you will be rather responding better than when you warm up. And yeah, that will make a big difference. Also, the very important is that you may have an injury if you don't warm up, or bigger, you will injure someone next to you. So there are many things, like this is only like sport. If we bring it back to our concern, that it's the podcast, then I will say that it will be to prevent the injury in your vocal cords, that it's our main instrument. The sound, I mean, to sound your best. So then that means that it will be much more better. And then you will be in the right state of mind. That's important, to connect with your guest, to connect with your voice, to connect with the podcast and with the topic you are going to talk about it. So to me, it's like a main point to warm up. to give you that time. So the last time, as you know, we were doing only the face, but then today I would like to start with the beginning. Like sometimes you can choose whether you start with your face and then breathing, or to start breathing and then the exercises with your face. My personal, normally I start breathing and then my face, and then some. I don't have, I prefer that order, but sometimes I do it in the other way around, which doesn't matter if it's just before starting. So I will like to tell you some. This is there are many, as you know, maybe you do yoga or you do any kind of sport. In every single sport there are a bit of differences on the technique on how to breathe. Like if you run, then you will be, at some point you will be breathing with both your mouth and your nose. Or maybe when you are doing certain kind of meditation or mindfulness, you will find out that it's different, the method of the breathing technique when you do Tibetan meditation, or you do Zen meditation, or any other meditation. So there are Kundalini, or I don't know, Hatha yoga. There are so many, and in principle, doesn't matter. Oh, I see a dog. Sorry, but no, very nice.
Sorry, because she's driving me crazy, and at least she's good when she's here.
Yes, so nice. Um, so in that sense, I have like a, I know many ways of breathing, but I would like to share with you this here. So this means all these you will choose, like if now we will do it, all of them. So then you experience at least once. And later, the idea is that either you do any, you know, or you do a combination of these ones, or all of them. Breathing, it will be also for a singer, for an actor, and so on. It's like super important, and to learn different ways of breathing, it bring you when you need it. You have your tools. So all these are like we are, yeah, someone who mechanic or something, and we have to have our back with us, inside us, of tools to do to that we have when we need it. So I would like to invite you, and Rachel, it will be very nice when you do these breathings, because when, especially when we have something in our lungs and so on, it help. And maybe you will start coughing. Do not worry. And sometimes, even if we are not sick, or we think we are perfectly with our lungs and our respiratory system, sometimes we start breathing and things start coming out. So don't feel like, oh my, what's going on? It's super normal. So then if something comes out, then you just go and you do what you have to do, and you come back for any of you. So the deep breathing. So we will, if you can put wherever you are, your back straight. That's normally you do it also standing, but if you do it if you are seated, it's also okay. Only put your feet on the ground, both, and then try to put your spine, like all your back, completely straight as much as possible, because then otherwise you cannot really have all the benefits when you are not seated with your back straight. And here, deep breathe. So that means that you are breathing normal. So breathe deep. It's through your nose as deep as you can, and then going out through mouth. So you can do it 3 times, your own tempo. Also, with this deep breath, you could also do like, if the more noise you make when you are when you are breathing, the best. The best. So they really like, and then that will be the best. Then the next one, it will be breathing through your nose, also deep, and if possible with noise. And then you will exhale with the sound. Something I want to say before continuing, many people think that when you are breathing, when they said, oh, breathe, and you do, the shoulders, they are not in the equation of the from breathing. So then if you tend to do this, then try to keep your shoulders down, and so that in your with your own rhythm. That's important. Everyone has an own rhythm for breathing. So you can do it 3 times, breathing in deep and exhale with an S. And you go again. Try when you do this to also move your lips. You know, say the third time, and the next one, it's really good. The next one, it's we use it a lot to get very fast into, to get focused, to get more concentration. It's a bit more deep, and this is with an E, A, U. So E, and also the idea is that you also move the lips accordingly. So E, A, U. So it's a double exercise because you are moving your mouth and at the same time you're breathing deep. So the E is deep. You have to feel it in your lower stomach. And it's like really contracting. Then A is goes to your chest. And then U, it's here. So and then through your mouth, and then like, so then try to really do it like taking a lot of contracting a lot. So then the more you can do that, the deep it goes and the much more effect that it will have. So then try it with own tempo, tempo 3 times. So normally at this point, when you do 3 times and you do it really deep, you will feel a bit dizzy or something like that. And it's normal when we are breathing that you can get a bit dizzy. Now we will go to the this one, the next one. Then it will do also another movement that it's you breathe very deep through your nose. And the idea is that you open your mouth and you bring your head as far as you can with your eyes as well. And then you will exhale. So it will be something like so then you, when you go down, you are breathing. And when you are going there, you are exhaling. So that will be the, and then you go down and you are breathing. And then when you, sometimes it's even nicer, or then you have much more the feeling when you put your hands like this here, and then you will be breathing, and then you breathe. And this is an exercise also of a yoga thing. So, and then you exhale and you put, you bring, and you are pushing your jaw with your arms more back, and then you go back. And that will make it also deep. And then I invite you to do another 3 breathings as deep as you can, going from nose and exhaling through your mouth, your own rhythm. So we will continue immediately. If someone wants to say something and has a comment, anything? Question? Yeah, okay. So then we will go immediately to warming up of the face. And you know already what will happen. So I will be guiding you, and if you can do it and do things. So then move first your tongue. You are breathing all the time. Don't forget to breathe. You are start moving your tongue all over your mouth to all the places possible. Going with your tongue, with your teeth from one side and to the back and to the front, completely go all over your teeth, you know, like boom, boom, from the back to the front, go to your cheeks, you know, your cheeks and all your lips, and all over to your paladar and to down, also everywhere. And then you go with your tongue as far as you can to the back, and then bring it to the front, and then completely to the back, and then to the front several times. And then you will be moving your tongue as fast as you can inside your mouth, all over. Fast, 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 and faster, much more faster, really fast, 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 fast. It's the one you continue moving your tongue as much as possible. Hara, I'm not saying you moving your tongue inside your mouth. And then it's the one muscle that we, as I was telling you probably last time, that we move the less from all our body. So it's also normal when you're breathing and you are not used to breathe, as you continue with the tongue, is that we start saying, oh, it's also something our brain is getting too much oxygen, and then we start feeling like that. So, okay, let's move to the right and left from as fast as possible. As fast as possible. Right and left, right, left, right, left, right, left. This is also something very good to do against or to prevent Alzheimer. It's very funny, but to move the tongue prevents to get Alzheimer, accordingly with the studies, the few studies that there are about it. And then up and down. As far as you can go. And then circles to the right without moving the head, and to the left. Several times, and then like inside and outside, like with the sound. Faster and faster, much more faster, much more faster. Woo. No, much more faster. You need much more. And when you make the sound, it's easier. And then we go to the if you are trying, or very exaggerating, really enormously. I normally say like a cow. You know, how have you seen how cows are chewing like that? And the movement also of our lips. So then we go to the here, you know, we need some massage of our jaw, and then all over here, a massage, even the neck to the back, to the front. You know, and then we go also to the forehead, and I have to take my and then we go all over and try to be loose. Then you really have loose and then here a bit of your head with a nail like this, just give some massage. It's always good for circulation of blood. Okay. So you are ready with the warming up. Continue breathing, and Of course, now we took a longer time because I would like that you do it and then that we take the time. Like ideally is that you also take the time when you are on point to do a podcast, but otherwise then do at least some of this and quicker if you want or not, but just do it. And then you are ready in principle to continue. Yeah, so then it's always important that you take the time before. Do you have any question till here? No? Okay. We go now with a very important, we will be doing, we will be working with different exercise because in the rest of the time with volume, pronunciation, tempo, tone, and emphasis, especially with pronunciation. We already have also like something, the breathing. We already did the breathing exercises, and volume, it's about air, breathing. And you will say, yeah, but it's a podcast, so I do not need to be thinking about my volume because it's easy to modulate there. Nope, that's not the case. Why we do need to have a good volume? Like if I'm speaking like this, that you are speaking normally, if you tend to speak very, very softly, you have to improve that volume even for a podcast. Why? Because when you are speaking and it's I can put the volume up, but it will have a very different quality and difference between that the person who doesn't have a normal volume and the other people. And also volume, what I want to say here is that will also give you the light to your voice. So when you're speaking all the time, like, oh no, I don't need to make volume because I have my micro and I have even the micro here, and I know that my quality is okay. But I don't know if you can, I mean, I'm sure you are not saying, it's not the same. It's not the same that I'm talking to you like this, because I don't need really to have any volume because I have a very good speaker. Everyone is listening to me. Like you can just do like this if you listen correctly in this volume. Can you listen to me? Or it's like, yeah, of course you can listen to me, but the quality of what I'm saying, it really, I'm sure that it makes you feel different, and isn't it? Yeah, and let me see because I cannot see. Yeah, there. So yeah, it's very important that you try to speak, and even though like normally my normal volume, like if I'm speaking with someone or in a table, you know, in a chat, I will not be using this volume. This is my presentation volume, so it's a bit more like I will say like 1 or 2 lines up you know, from the volume. So that means that my expression, the expression of the voice, it's different than when I use like a normal table volume. So I'm in a table, and then if someone is next to you, normally it will be more like a bit different. Yes. So I'm trying to explain you like how and why it is important that you also take in consideration the volume. And when you are yeah, just speaking like with some passion and so on, normally the volume goes a bit up, and that is what we need to start giving all the voice. It's like an art piece, you know. So then you have to be putting different things, so at the end then it will be much more like nicer to speak to you. And here, as I was telling you also last time, some people really don't like their voice. Now that's a completely another thing, and they will say, "No, I don't have a good voice for podcasting." Now that's, I mean, nobody has a bad or not right voice for a podcast. There are voices that they are more warm than others. There are many like different things, or the how you call it, the I miss now the word, el timbre, how you call it, Hannah, the timbre de I miss now.
Melody?
Timbre.
Sorry?
Yeah, same timbre.
Sorry?
It's the same. Yeah, same word.
Oh.
Timbre of the voice. Yeah,
Yeah. And that may be for some people said, no, I don't like my timbre, so, but I mean, that is different thing. That doesn't matter really. So I spoke with the now volume, and what I would like is to listen to you. And I also want to, I will stop sharing for a sec, to be able to do another thing here.
But I can see already from the exercise we did of the warming up, you know, of the whole thing, I am super relaxed.
Yeah, and that's necessary to that our body is relaxed, and especially from our shoulders and up. It's very important when we speak, when we talk, and we want to do things with our voice. It's very important because the voice will come much more clear, nicer. You will feel much more better. Your ideas will also come much more better. So let me see what I will do. What I'm doing now, I'm opening a file of to record the next exercises, because we will be listening to them. So this is okay. Second, so I'm ready here with this one. And we will do the following, is that we will start a conversation. So it's a podcast conversation. Yeah. So with the idea that we will just listen to, that I and you will listen to you. So we will put, someone has a topic that they want to talk about.
I am not choosing this time.
Serena, Rachel, Alex, Christian. Something that you are working with, or something that everyone here will be able to comment about it. Okay, so
I only have like a stupid conversations, like let's talk about dogs or something. That's
that's it's not, as they will say, there's never stupid conversation, because
Alejandra, we had this some time ago, some minutes ago, or hours, 2 hours ago. We had a conversation about a color of a button.
oh yeah, that's true.
It was like 45 minutes talking about the color of a button.
Okay, look at that. So then it's possible to talk about anything, and then we can make conversation. Only to choose that, it will be good. Let's talk about pets, your pet or pets in general. So I will not be talking. I will not be speaking, but then the idea is that you will be, and it's only for a few minutes, that until everyone here has say something and so on. You can, what I would like is that you will be having a conversation, and in this conversation, the one thing is that try not to talk on top of someone. If you do that, then you solve it. So then that you have to think that the audio has to be clean, or you ask the other person to repeat, or you repeat what the other person said. So some, like, this is like a bit of a mini exercise at the same time, and also your volume. And I would like to you use also the pronunciation. So let's see, before going to another exercise only for pronunciation, but then let's try in this conversation this little few things. And if someone is just talking and talking and talking, someone will have to interrupt. How you will interrupt what we were talking last time. So then this is just a open conversation. And I don't know if Christian is there or not.
I'm here.
Okay. So then this is also good, like even if he doesn't have her video on.
I can do that. There's but I actually have to switch my switch over, but no problem.
Yeah, but it will be also nice exercise, Christian, if you just keep your video like that. So then you see that there's one person you cannot see. So that's interesting also for Christian, because sometimes you will have a guess that it's not, you are not have the opportunity to see this person. So then the communication changes. And that's interesting because Christian, you also have to participate. So then I will ask to all of you to the 5 of you, that you have your mic open, so then you can enter into the conversation at any time. And then I will just make also, this is also something that happens sometimes in the podcast. Before you start, then you are talking, yeah? And then when you will be starting and when someone is recording, you need to say to the people and to yourself, okay, let's, we will start and we will count, I will give you a sign when you can start. So then the audio is also clean at the beginning. And that's important, because sometimes then you are talking and said, okay, we'll start, and then you start, but then it's no clean audio. Clean audio is when you leave at least 3 seconds before starting. So then you give a sign. So I will give you the sign. I'm the, let's say, the guide or director of the podcast. You have the conversation, and I give only that sign. Okay, are you ready? Yeah, mic's on. Yep.
And who was the one to begin? I left 3 seconds.
Okay, I will start. Okay, so Rachel, what do you think about pets in general? Do you have one or not?
Yeah, I do. I have a black cat called Alfie. And yeah, I like pets. It's something I really only got interested in like after moving to the Netherlands, because growing up we didn't really have interesting pets. Like we did have pets, but they were like boring ones, like fish and birds. Sorry, no offense to fish and birds, but they're just like, they're not super exciting. So
Well, it depends on the birds, because I used to have a very interesting one who was able to talk, and
that's cool.
I was having
we had
very
boring ones.
interesting conversations with him.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
I have a
that's so
story
nice.
about that. I have a friend who has a parrot, and parrots live a very long time.
Oh,
They
yeah.
die after like 60 years old or something.
Oh, wow.
And his problem is that his parrot doesn't like him. So when he comes in the room, the parrot starts shouting at him in a way, and he sings when his little brother enters the room. And now he's in a bit of a pickle because he cannot
he's stuck with him.
the parrot likes him, and it's going to be a problem for many years to come.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's like an unhappy marriage.
I'm not surprised, because sometimes pets really do the relationships in the houses. That's what my dog does, but in a positive way. I think sometimes when you are all angry or stressed, she's better than a therapist.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So yeah.
Do you have any pets, Hara?
Yeah, we have now News is adopted now finally. We have a cat. So
Oh, nice.
a black cat with some white things.
Oh,
It was, I think the cat chose us somehow. He was always in our house, but it was not our cat.
wow. So you stole him.
Yeah. Well, we didn't. And then until now, the neighbor is like, who is never there. Now it's like, okay, you can, you can stay with the cat somehow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now it's officially in, I think since Alexander was here. So you were Alexander here on Friday. Since Friday, our cat is our cat.
Oh, wow. That's very new. That's
Yeah.
very
And what's the name?
Missy.
Ah, that's so nice.
I saw
And
it,
it
and
was
it is very cute.
You confirm.
I confirm.
Okay.
Cuteness acquired.
Yeah. But for me, I have to say that the best are dogs anyway. I'm a team dog.
I always wanted to have a dog. Yeah, growing up, like my father really likes dogs, and he wanted to have one, but my mom is a bit allergic to dogs, and also she
Oh.
likes gardening, so they're not really compatible. Well, they are, but my mom was
Well,
like, "Oh, if we have a dog, he ruins my garden," and I get annoyed. So we never had a dog because of allergies and gardening.
I have allergies as well to dogs,
yeah.
actually,
No.
but my dog is a very special one. There are a couple of types that are don't give you any kind of allergy. So I'm very lucky, and because when we got her, we didn't know about this story, and I was not allergic to anything. Then after years, I developed some allergies, and I was so lucky that my dog is not one of those dogs. So we are a good match, probably.
That sounds like a great
Wow.
match.
I also have a dog, and it's King Charles Cavalier.
Nice.
Yeah, it
very
is
nice.
extremely
Good.
cute, but extremely dumb as well. He keeps barking through the night sometimes, or waking everyone up at 7 in the morning because he wants something. And that's not dumb, but he's also dumb. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
he can't find things that are in front of his face. 10 to 20 centimeters in front of him, he can't find it. But I love him very, very much. So much.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Well, the reason we got a cat was actually because we kept on getting mice, because we have a house that is like entering on the ground floor, just a normal house. And we just kept on getting mice, and I mean, like, it was just getting too much. I was like, no, I just can't do this. I can't live with mice. I don't like killing mice myself. Like choosing, well, which method are we going to use today? Like this method or the mouse trap or mouse poison? Which one? No, like, so since you get, if you get a cat, then the cat does it for you. And sometimes the cat doesn't even have to do it because the mouse smells the cat and they just stay away. So we actually have not even had a mouse in our house since, except for when the cat brought them in. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that was my question to you.
Yeah.
You don't get animals.
yeah. So luckily, like, we don't actually have a mouse problem anymore. But a few times the cat, like, because they like to bring back the kill, like as a reward for you. So Hara, you're gonna have, maybe if your cat is allowed out and likes hunting. So
A beautiful dead mouse for your
Yeah.
Yeah,
owner.
exactly. We had this already, so 2 or 3 times already.
Yeah. Because our cat is a very young male and he really is very good at hunting. So to about like a year and a half ago, I was working from home in the summer, so it was very hot weather. Everything was open and I saw the cat jumping in the window, and like he's very, very black. Like he's only black. And I just saw him, like, I saw black coming in the window and a speck of some other color. Like I wasn't even looking, but I was like, oh, I know something's not okay. And it was actually a rat, not a mouse.
The killer
It was a
came.
rat.
What
But he
about you,
wasn't-
Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see your face.
My face, we can't. No, indeed, you can't see
Yeah,
my
we don't know
face.
what you're thinking.
Well, I'm not a huge fan of either cats or dogs. So the cat and me, we are, so I have this cat in the house, and we are not the best friends because I was trying to. Well, the as Hara already said, the cat chose us, and it wasn't me who chose the cat. So what I was trying to do is to be as unfriendly as possible to the cat while it was growing so fond of us.
Oh, wow.
And well, it backfired, of course, because now I have a cat which lives in the house, which isn't my friend.
Yeah, it didn't work out very well.
Wow.
That's a pretty the same that happened to my dad. But the thing is that my dog was not just coming around. We deliberately got her at our place, and we had a sort of team, me, my sister, and my mom. And my father just found the dog.
Wow.
I'm wondering what would have been your ideal pet then, Christian?
Oh, my ideal pet is no pet because I don't want
Oh.
the extra work. So if it's any extra work, I'm against it.
So no
And
pets.
well,
Well, I
actually,
think, yeah,
we're
if you
lucky
don't like
enough with
pets,
this cat because it's actually taking all the dirty business outside and only and is quite independent. So that's actually the least possible maintenance factor that you can have in a cat.
Yeah.
that's ideal.
I must admit, it's almost ideal.
I mean, almost like the most ideal for you would to not have a cat. But if you're going to have a pet, then a
Indeed,
cat.
yeah. Well, and I've also lived with or witnessed bigger dogs living in a household, and that wasn't the nicest experience either. Like a big dog has a very, very interesting odor. So yeah, I don't know. It's I think that, well, my ideal animal at home would be probably something like goldfish or something. But even those, they need the aquarium.
That's not even a pet.
Well, that's what
Spider.
we're allowed to have, because our parents were thinking exactly like what you're thinking now.
Okay. Thank you so much. I will have to interrupt now. I will just put stop to the recording and just a second. We'll put submit. And how is that?
Nice.
Yeah, fun.
People always have something to say about pets.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
it's always something spontaneous, even if you don't have one or don't like them. There's always something to say.
You have an opinion about it.
Yeah, it's nice. Talking point.
Yeah, it was very good actually. I think I was thinking like we were super complementary on. I don't know how Alejandra, what is the expert, but it was I found like it's super complementary. We were very complementary in our comments and our argumentation lines and ways of thinking. So it was quite funny. So I was thinking we can publish this. We can take a topic.
I would like to that you listen. Just let me see. Please tell me when you are listening or not.
And who was the
Sorry.
I left 3 seconds.
Okay, I will start. It's a Rachel. What do you think about pets in general? Do you have one or not?
Yeah, I do.
So I will be springing from there to here. So I'm not saying it, but that was a good way, you know, when there's no initiative, someone has to take the initiative, and then it will be so just what happened here, it's something to learn. So okay, it's this and that happening, and you have to remember all the time that you are the directors of your podcast, ones that you are, because now it's like, oh, we are the, but then you have to always put yourself as the one who has to solve, the one who has to start, the one who has to begin, to stop, to interrupt. So in this case, this is a very nice, like, so someone, like, no one was like, oh, what's going on? Yeah, someone has to take that role. So that's like something for everyone. I will continue, and I'm just making some comments. If you want to say also something, please feel free to make your comments.
I have a black cat called Alfie. And yeah, I like pets. It's something I really only got interested in like after moving to the Netherlands, because growing up we didn't really have interesting pets. Like we did have pets, but they were like boring ones, like fish.
The
and
Christian
birds.
one, the Christian one.
Like, no offense to fish and birds, but they're just like
¿Qué dices? What you are saying, Hara?
Well, it was a joke, like the boring one is for Christian.
Yes.
I was saying no offense to fish and birds, but actually I'm in my head I was thinking no offense to people who have fish and birds.
Yeah.
I didn't want
I'm
to say
very
that out
sorry to
loud,
hear
so I
that.
said fish and birds. You know, that's not super exciting. So
Well, it depends on the birds, because I used to have a very interesting one who
Oh, yeah.
was able to talk.
Did you notice something that happened now in the audio?
No.
Yes, I will just put it so then you can maybe.
We did have pets, but they were like boring ones, like fish and birds. Sorry, no offense to fish and birds, but they're just like, you know, they're not super exciting. So
Well, it depends on the birds, because I used to have a very interesting one who
Oh, yeah.
was able to talk.
Someone?
Yeah, I heard something like a tinny noise, like a compressed, strange noise, right? Like a
No, more than, yeah, there was that, but then besides that, it's Serena was talking, and then someone, I think I was not looking, but I think you, Rachel, or you, Hannah, then you say, you make a like, oh yeah, or oh, this kind of, when someone is speaking like in a normal conversation, it's okay, because then you are giving like it's I'm listening and so on sign. Also when you are on TV show or whatever, when you are face to face and there, then people can see, then it's also okay to go to say, oh yes, with podcast and radio, forget it. So then you are not mooing or or oh no. Why? Because sometimes what happens is that you basically go on top of the voice of the other person, and it's very funny how what happened with a recording, and it's actually going on top, because that's a like super technical thing, but then there's a little piece of the other person's voice or sound, let's talk about sound, that you cannot hear, but because you go on top, you have to do the a bit harder, or and somehow it interrupts the clarity of the sound of the other person. So sometimes then for radio we have, and for podcasts the same thing, then trying to avoid or to know exactly, like in the when people breathe, then you said but then you have to be very like into the what the people are saying, and then I just made a little break, and then you are saying okay, this kind of thing. So I will repeat, maybe you will listen now. Let me see.
fish.
Yeah, you heard? I don't see you now because I'm in the other program. So.
I still couldn't hear it, to be honest.
No, I didn't hear it properly.
No?
No, but maybe
Got interested in like after moving to the Netherlands, because growing up we didn't really have interesting pets. Like we did have pets, but they were like boring ones, like fish and birds. Sorry, no offense to fish and birds, but they're just like no, they're not super exciting. So
well, it depends on the birds, because I used to have a very interesting one who was able.
There.
Ah, yeah.
I was
Okay,
like,
now I heard.
oh, yeah, that was
Oh
me.
yeah. To talk, and
that's
he was.
cool.
I was
No,
having.
Sorry?
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay.
We had
Very
boring.
interesting conversations with him.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's so
Sorry.
nice.
About that, I have a friend who has a parrot, and parrots live a very long time. They die after like 60 years old or something.
Oh, wow.
And his problem is that
You hear that the oh wow and so on, then didn't interrupt what Alex was saying. So then there's the difference that sometimes it really goes and sometimes the doesn't. So then yeah, it's a bit tricky to make expressions when we are recording a podcast.
his parrot doesn't like him. So when he comes in the room, the parrot starts shouting at him in a way, and he sings when his little brother enters the room. And now he's
and you can notice what it's very nice from this example is that we are laughing or someone is laughing, but then the laugh doesn't come on top of the voice of Alex. Did you notice that?
Yes.
So that's something to also to learn. Then when you are having a conversation and sometimes like it's nice because it's funny, you want to react and it sounds very nice and natural, but then that you keep it really like that it's at the back, not on top of a person. So that's a very good example what happened now, that you can laugh and so on, but then trying to not to be on top of the other person.
in a bit of a pickle because he can the parrot like him.
Sorry?
I think it was in the conversation there.
Ah.
I was in the conversation.
Yeah, it was recording.
Okay. This,
When he comes in the room, the parrot starts shouting at him in a way, and he sings when his little brother enters the room. And now he's in a bit of a pickle because he can the parrot likes him.
like, what happened there is that, did you understand what the other person said?
I think Rachel, like, what are you? You mean the second voice, not
Yeah.
not Alex? Okay.
Did you understand?
No.
No. And that's a pity. So then when you talk, like, this is a very typical thing that happened and that we have to avoid. To give a comment, even if it's a quick one or something like in this way, because then only the person who say it, maybe if you listen back, Rachel, maybe you say, yes, of course I said that, but for the rest, then I will repeat it, so then we can try. But then it's when it goes of editing a podcast, then it's very difficult, especially this is not the case when the other person is saying something that really it's important, or it's part of what the person is saying, and someone comes up, then it's both things you cannot understand. We will listen again.
And parrots live a very long time. They die after like 60 years old.
that one, then it's okay. We can understand what's going on.
Or something.
Oh, wow.
And his problem is that his parrot doesn't like him. So when he comes in the room, the parrot starts shouting at him in a way, and he sings when his little brother enters the room. And now he's in a bit of a pickle because he
Yeah,
can't.
he's stuck with
The
him.
parrot's
Yeah. Did you notice that it's like we cannot understand that comment? Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's things that we could avoid.
likes him, and it's going to be a problem for many years to come.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like
I-
an unhappy march.
I'm not surprised because sometimes pets really do the relationships in the houses. That's what my dog does, but in a positive way. I think sometimes when you are all angry or stressed, she's better than a therapist.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So
Do you
yeah.
have any pets, Hara?
Yeah, we have now News is adopted now finally. We have a cat. So
Oh, nice.
a black cat with some white things.
Oh.
It was, I think the cat chose us somehow. He was always in our house, but it was not our cat.
Wow. So you stole him.
Yeah. Well, we didn't. And then until now, the neighbor is like, who is never there now is.
So, when Rachel said, "Oh, you stole it," but then it came really nicely, very natural, yeah. And that's something just good, that then you come with your comment there, and then it was Hara was not interrupted, or you didn't talk on top, and then we were able to listen what you were saying. So that's a very good
Like, okay, you can, you can stay with the cat. Somehow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so now it's officially in, I think since Alexander was here, so you were Alexander here on Friday, since Friday, our cat is our cat.
Oh wow, that's very new. That's
Yeah.
very
And what's the name?
Missy.
Oh, that's so nice.
I saw it,
it
and
was-
it is very cute.
You confirm.
I confirm.
Okay.
Cuteness acquired.
Yeah. But for me, I have to say that the best are dogs anyway. I'm a team dog.
I always wanted to have a dog. Yeah, growing up, like my father really likes dogs, and he wanted to have one, but my mom is a bit allergic to dogs, and also she likes gardening, so they're not really compatible. Well, they are, but my mom was like, "Oh, if I have a dog, he ruins my garden," and I get annoyed. So we never had a dog because of allergies and gardening.
I have allergies as well to dogs, actually, but my dog is a very special one. There are a couple of types that don't give you any kind of allergy. So I'm very lucky. And because when we got her, we didn't know about this story, and I was not allergic to anything. Then after years, I developed some allergies, and I was so lucky that my dog is not one of those dogs. So we are a good match, probably.
That sounds like a great match.
I also have a dog, and it's King Charles Cavalier.
Nice.
Yeah, it is extremely cute, but extremely dumb as well. He keeps barking through the night sometimes, or waking everyone up at 7 in the morning because he wants something. And that's not dumb, but he's also dumb. Yeah, he can't find things that are in front of his face. 10 to 20 centimeters in front of him, he can't find it. But I love him very, very much. So much.
Great.
Yes.
Well, the reason we got a cat was actually because we kept on getting my.
Wait. I just want to see where's the part where Christian is, but just to listen a bit to that and then to go further, because this can always take a bit of time. Just a sec.
Not okay, and it was actually a rat.
Now you listen.
Not
Can
a
you hear?
mouse.
The killer came.
And what about
But
you,
he was-
Christian?
Yeah.
We can see your face.
My face, we can't. No, indeed, you can't see my
I don't know
face.
what you're thinking.
Well, I'm not a huge. We are so. I have this cat in the house, and we are not the best friends because I was trying to. Well, as Hara already said, the cat chose us, and it wasn't me who chose the cat. So what I was trying to do is to be as unfriendly as possible to the cat while it was growing so fond of us.
Oh,
And
wow.
well, it backfired, of course, because now I have a cat which lives in the house, which is my friend.
Yeah, it didn't work out very well.
Wow.
That's a pretty the same with that happened to my dad. But
So I will like to hear some comments from your part. What how is to, I mean, I'm sure that you already heard your voice in some other moments, but what's your till now your impression, or what you can say about your own we are talking here about volume and then pronunciation, and in general, what is for you to listen this or to listen to yourself. Serena.
okay. Yeah, it's always a bit weird to hear your own voice, so I feel a bit a bit of discomfort, I would say, because I understand that when I listen to my voice, I can hear like the uncertainty in the speaking, of course, because I'm not speaking Italian, and so I hate this, like the feeling of not being super sure of what I'm saying or how to say it. And I also listening to my voice afterwards, I kind of understand that there were other words I would like to use, but I didn't know the word in the conversation. So I really hate that it's more a problem of language for me. While the tone of my voice, I think sometimes it's even too loud because I tend to speak too loudly. So I think that's quite clear, like that's quite high. But then I don't like what I say. So it's more
Yeah, but that's the one thing that I always say. Like it's like anything that that you show or perform or sing or whatever that we do for someone else, the only person who knows what's going on and what should be going on and this or that, it's ourselves, nobody else. So then for you, maybe you feel this or that, but actually maybe for the listener it's not like that.
I
And
hope
probably
so.
I always say that I'm sure that for English speaking native, then it's like a complete training to be listening to all of us that we are not native. But yeah, that when we are like all not natives, then normally then you don't notice all many things that probably in this case Rachel will be noticing. That's that's the one point. But then about the volume, I think that you said that I speak loudly, but then actually for our goal, it's really good.
It's enough loud. Okay.
It's perfect. It's good. You know, it's like then it's no problem to I don't have or nobody has to do a bit like this. You know, like what's saying. So that's the point that we already what we want with our volume is that people can really listen to us without this thing of having to say, oh, what is saying? And then because it's the accent and it's this and it's that. And on top of that, if you have to do like this to listen, yeah, that's a bit too much to ask. So then that's the reason I said, even in a podcast volume, please. And thank you, Serena. Rachel.
What was my impression or what?
Yes. But if your volume, you think your volume that you give yourself feedback, and then any comment you want to say about volume.
Okay, well, the first thing is because I'm a bit sick, this is not my usual voice. So I actually don't have a huge problem listening to my voice as much as I normally do. It's weird because like I really sound like, oh, that's definitely not me, so it's fine. Because usually I hate the sound of my voice. But when I listen to this, it sounds like, oh, that's someone else, so it's fine. Volume wise, I think it's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have a good volume or not, but yeah, it didn't really bother me, the volume. Just sometimes I'm just like cringing of like what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, that's so embarrassing. Why did I say that? Or something like that. That's more what I am thinking when I hear myself talking. I'm just like, yeah, like I'm just always self-critical in general, but it's just the content of what I say rather than my volume or voice. Yeah.
Yeah, your volume, it's also it's really like okay for a podcast and so on. And then normally when we are sick, then I always make a joke, because then I said, oh, we always tend, if we are sick, to have a more sexy voice, as they will say in radio. Like when
Maybe
they say,
that's why I was not criticizing my voice. I was like, ah, it sounds fine.
that's the biggest like a deal with everyone who use their voice, that we tend to criticize too much ourselves. And this is also something that it's part of a podcast or using your voice, is to get in love with your voice, to get I always use this opportunity, this moment when I come to voice and in a workshop and so on, is that to invite all of you to reconcile, to get in love with your voice. It's super important for yourself. And also it will give you much more self-confidence in general. And sometimes it's a very normal thing that we get very vulnerable in these cases, to be in front of a mic or to know that someone is recording you in any way, with video, without video, voice, then we are vulnerable. So they're the one thing that we can do and to work towards is to really love our voice. And because there's no bad or good voice. And then we are, because everything, and as so many other things, someone says, oh, what a nice voice, and the other said, oh no, it's not a nice voice, oh, it's too high, or it's too low, or it's too this. No, then it's our own perception, and there will be everything. It will be very, like, depending who is listening. For someone will be in love with our voice, and some other people will say, don't even think about it. Some people will say, but doesn't matter, because everyone has a different opinion. The important opinion is your own opinion of your own voice. And then that's like a bit of something that in this point I always talk about this, because it's important as well. So to me, you have a really nice voice, if I may say, and the volume is very good. And then also, your accent is very nice. And yeah.
Oh, thanks.
About content, yeah, we always have, like, sometimes we do speak, and then we tend to do one or another. One will say a lot of I don't know, long breathings, and the other one will say something else, but at the end it's who we communicate, and then I think it's always okay. Thank you, Rachel. Alex.
Well, I'm not a professional, but I think maybe I could have gotten a little bit more volume, like a little bit more up. I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
I think what I was saying, that for me, you also, your volume, what you were using, like sometimes it's a tendency to go some words down and then some words up. That is what my feedback, that I will say, that then sometimes it goes and then you maintain, and suddenly it's one word that it goes down and then back. That I will say that you could try to keep just in mind, and then to continue the same volume, or to go even up. It's better to go up and up in your volume than to go down in the volume.
okay.
Yeah. Hara.
So for me, it's always the same. Like this way of doubting a little bit, or trying to explain too much. I think, like, going around. I think, I don't know if I will learn in some part of my life, some point, the pronunciation, and then the other is in the podcast to go, in a conversation, to go to the point and not to make so many comments, and to stop early. Don't talk, Hara. One sentence only. Something like that. Yeah, I think like as a summary, like as well, Serena and Rachel said about, yeah, you notice like you are thinking when you are talking, you know, in the tone of the voice, and when you don't know what to say or you are doubting or something, and this is super awkward when you are listening again. And for me, that's the point. I think when I am editing the podcast, in some cases I remove this because I don't like it. But yeah, I think it's one of my, I don't know, but like you mentioned, you have to love your voice, and you have to love who you are. And I am talking like this, and that's all. I am trying to make it better, but it's super difficult because sometimes it's how you, and I don't know, it's not, I am not English native speaker, so it's extra thing. But yes, it's like maybe my father was saying, like, no, talk properly, you know, like don't be around this. Talk. So
Yeah, that's an exercise. I think it's sometimes very difficult to when you have that tendency. And then what I will say is tip is to try to look into the why, when, the why and when I'm doing, and then I think you could start with when I'm doing that. Because once that you discover when, then the why will come. That is the answer. And then knowing these two, it's possible to change. I said, oh, that triggered me, or that's the reason. And it's very personal. So then to give examples, and then I do prefer always to leave these questions very like personal, to say, oh, try to, if you remember, just to try to think about going to the when this happened, or if always happen, then it's also part of you. And also it's, yeah, who you are, or and if it really not bringing something to, in this case, we are talking specifically podcasts, so then what you can do, and then my tip there, it will be write down every single word in a question, and just you will not memorize it as you were suggesting in another moment. No, but then you will read, and then you said, okay, I read, and then I will say, but then just keep it. Maybe you will change some words if you are not reading it word by word. And then if you want to sound a bit like, if you read and you cannot do it naturally, then you read and then you say. And maybe you are changing some words, but then you are not giving the complete, how, as you say, that you using too much words and round to go to one point. That will be my tip for a while, or that you said, okay, I will do it in certain moments. And then with the time, and if you do it and do it and do it, at some point when you write down and you just keep that script, at some point you will start also talking like that. But it's an exercise. Yeah. And thank you, Jara. And Christian?
Well, I kept myself. I started into the conversation very late. Remote conversation, of course, is something which is more difficult to have than, or yeah, like with so many people, is more difficult than seeing and interacting live with someone, I guess. Well, I don't know. I'm also not. My personal opinion is not that I have the perfect radio voice. Hannah is trying to convince me differently, but otherwise, no. I don't have anything in particular. I mean, I'm not particularly proud about what I said, but yeah, I think from a content perspective, so from what I said, I tried to be the counterpart of what was said before, or of course, to not reproduce the same things that are already said. But I don't know. That's yeah. I don't have any particular other comment.
Yeah. Thank you, Christian. Yeah, your volume, I think at the beginning, you have a good volume normally. So at the beginning, your volume was a bit lower than normal. And yeah, I think that none of you, it's something to worry about. Oh, keep your volume up. And about content, yeah, that I think that at the moment that any of you gets into one topic and so on, and in any topic that you give your point of view, and then you are able to what it's important that you know that I repeat that you are the director, that you are the host, that you need to take actions and to have the initiative to start, to stop, to everything. So about pronunciation, the exercise that we did last time. Sorry, that's not the screen I want to share. No, it's also recording. What's going on here? What? Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So then what I was saying with the pencil, that exercise we did last time, when you know that you would like to have a better pronunciation, then it's more, in this case, it will be more articulation. So then the moment we have a better articulation, and can be exaggerated, that will help a lot when we speak, especially in other language that our own. So that will help the pronunciation. It's not that we will have like this English accent or whatsoever, but that will help others. And that's the point, to help others to understand us better. That will be the main point to me about pronunciation. Other than that, when you want to increase or to improve your pronunciation, now the method, it will be to listen much more and into, let's say, if you want to have much more the English pronunciation, then you listen much more news or films or whatsoever in this specific accent. Or if you want to have much like more an American accent, go and listen everything in with American accent. That's to listen in the language. So then that will help a lot your through your listening, that the words at some point are coming. There are words that they are very difficult for each person. The one word that for me it's difficult may be very easy for someone else. So the idea is that you go with these difficult words that they are part of your work, or in this case that you know that you will the podcast will be about sustainability. Now sustainability is for many people it's a difficult word, so sustainability. And then you said sustainability, or I don't know. So then what you do, it's to go to internet. Now we have the net, so then you put the pronunciation sustainability, and you can even put English or American or Australian or whatsoever accent, and then you can listen what's the correct pronunciation of sustainability, for example. So then that's the when they said, oh, what can I do now with pronunciation, I will say it, pen, pencil, exercise a lot, reading out loud with the pencil, and then try to listen more. And then the tempo for podcast. So sometimes you or the guest will decide, because sometimes the tempo is very like quick, but you can also, as the host, give the tempo. In this case, I'm talking about two different kinds of tempo of the podcast, the interview, and tempo of you speaking. And why I talk about both, because somehow you will be the one giving the tempo to the podcast, to that interview. When you are more dynamic in your speaking, that means that also the other person somehow it will go in that dynamic of your voice and of the tempo of the program and your voice. When the person is very, very slow, you have to compensate that with automatically that you know that, okay, if it's the tempo, the tempo of that person, it's too slow, so then you compensate going a bit faster, you know. It's a way that you also somehow you push the other person to speak a bit faster, and that always works. It's just I always said it's a kind of physics or dynamics into this part of how our tempo will interfere and will do something with the other person of persons. So that's something that we have to take in consideration, that you take in consideration. And also many people we tend to run, especially when we are reading the biography of the other person. Then I said, take your time to, as I mentioned in any other moment, I'm sure I did, is that you are, by reading this biography, you are also introducing, welcoming, hugging, and putting with the stars and so on, and the person. And it's also to give space and even respect to that. It's what we can do by giving a time for a nice introduction of our guest. The tone. Here I also talk about two things when I talk about tone. The tone of my voice and the tone of the podcast. So there are two different things. When we go to the tone of the podcast, I think that it's already given and that is a podcast that it's an interview, and then the interview, it's also not being extremely serious and very academic, so to say, but it's in the side of an interview and in the serious part. That doesn't mean that cannot be jokes in it, or a bit of humor, and especially when it goes in the last questions, the personal quick questions, then that gives also a bit of more air to what sometimes could be very academic or very and that's always okay, because your listeners then will be people that they are interested in your topics. So then never be we are not making a comedy podcast. So in that sense, the tone of the podcast, it's completely okay, and nothing to say about it, only that that is also the tone of the podcast, but also the tone of your voice. And then talking about tone of your voice, then we know that because they are only listening to us, then sometimes we have to as hosts, then not to get a bit sometimes with our voice we can notice that we are desperate, or we are a bit this or that. That's to show a tone, but normally doesn't happen. Sometimes could happen, but that's also part of a tone. And also the other part of the tone in your voice, we cannot do much sometimes, and it's when you have your feeling, when you start feeling and have passion and be into the topic, then also the tone of intonation will come, and then it's going really into the voice topic. So I will not put too much. I mentioned because it's important talking about voice, then I need to talk about intonation and tone. But in your case, I only want to say, when you think that you are too monotone, then it will work and it will change when you start speaking with much more emotion or passion, and then we go to the other one, to emphasize. When you start emphasizing or saying, oh, it was really, really great, but then when you said, yeah, it was great. Yeah. When you emphasize, don't feel afraid to raise a bit more your voice when you want to say something, or you get passionate about something, and then you said, no, absolutely no, I do not agree when people say ta ta ta. So don't feel shy to do this, because then later you know that it's because you are also playing with your voice. And it's always nice, even if it's a very scientific topic, you can still get emotion about when you find out something, or when you discover something, or like that podcast of all the mission Serena, that there was so much to say about it. I think that in that sense, when I listened to that podcast of with all of you, I really miss so much. I wish that each one of you had a podcast, only a personal, like because it's so much or like it's interesting. And each one has a specialty. Each one has their own focus in the mission and everything. So to me it was like, oh, I want to know more about these about everyone. And in that sense, there were moments that they were also like, oh no, we did that we do, but that's also the time is needed also for the person to express themselves the same as yourself, so emphasize. So if you use your to me, if I want to say the super basics, and what I invite you not to forget, it's that you sound check will be necessary, and that you take the time to do your sound check, that you take your time to do your warm up, and of course before a podcast and in the middle time you have to do your podcast, that you make your exercise, breathing exercise, warming up exercise, pronunciation, like putting the pencil and speak loud. Then I do think that you can make a great podcast, and to enjoy more and more each time that you make a podcast. Do you have any question? Nope.
I am just wondering, Alejandra, how we can combine all these learnings when we are recording a podcast. So as a structure, first is like we warm up, no? We breathe.
Yeah, before you start your podcast, if you have enough confidence, or the person that you are interviewing, then you can invite before, said, oh, I will connect 5 minutes before, or then normally I will always suggest that you connect 10 minutes before, or that you have the first 10 minutes to connect with your guest, to check the sound, to recheck. So then you have those minutes also to make small talk. So then you listen if there's too much click clack, to say that like things like this or this, you can hear, or even if I'm doing this, I mean, or I put my bracelets on my computer, this. And then you look into all those details with the other person, said, oh, I just want to remember you that everything it's we can listen to. So make sure that you don't this and that, also the water or the thing, this kind of thing, or chair or whatsoever. So then you check all that with your guest. But and yeah, if you don't want to do the warming up with your guest because maybe you think it's too much, just do it before you connect just have something that will really, really help everyone. So that will be, and then before that, prepare. Don't get into your podcast on prepare. Even if you are the super ultra mind with all the information and you are the master on the topic you will be conducting, do prepare, do write down. I mean, and then you are learning. So then I will say, even the biggest whoever, we do have a script. We write all the program because we want, especially when it's a radio, you have to have the timing. So then we write everything, and at some point we know how much is 1 hour, but when you are writing, but otherwise then you write everything and then you read it aloud, time it, and then you time it. When you do that exercise of timing everything you will be saying, and also like Hannah, you were saying, oh, I need to go more to the point. Yeah, just write down everything and time it. And you said, oh, I'm speaking for 3 minutes. No, wait a second, you know? And when you're writing, then I'm sure that you will stop doing all that big conversation or comment, because then you will be much more conscious about it. So prepare everything, and then beforehand, then be sure that you are you have time for your warming up, and then make your sound check, and then take the time to introduce your guest and enjoy the interview. And then it's just, if you are really like, you are people that are used to train many things, so train yourself to for whatever you will do, to use your volume, to breathe, you know. And then when you are in a this of podcast or whatever presentation online or live, you will have some benefits from this workshop, I'm sure, because it will be the same, a bit different when you are on offline or when you are live, but the volume and the tempo and the emphasis will be wherever, online or offline. So just yes, there's my LinkedIn, my email, you already have it. And then if you, what I wanted to suggest at some point to her and to all of you, but maybe to know when you will be recording your podcast, and maybe I can go maybe for one or different moments that I can go, and then maybe I can even record it as well already in my program. So then we will have the backup of Zoom that you will be recording, Hannah, and then I have the file in Audition, and then to see at the at some point what is the best, you know, because this will be for some or many podcasts, so it will be Word. To me, my goal will be that the sound quality gets better. Yeah, And then what you were saying, if you have 5 or 4 in just that they are there as backup, that will be good. And what I suggest also is that you are saying, Serena, that you have this person that you would like to interview, and I'm sure that each one of you have at least one more person or in the coming months, because you are busy with this. They will say, I may be interviewing someone you really whatever, admire, like, or whatever. So then make a list of people, so then you don't forget when the name comes, or when the idea comes, just write it down, share with the team, or share with Hara to make a list of, oh, that's another one. So then she also knows that there are all these new ideas that will also help. And then I think that you don't have to wait until you have your next turn, because you never know when it will be necessary to have a podcast. So then if you are in the mood now and inspiration and so on, now just contact him, and then you just have to